Tonight, we crack open Doc Swinson's single barrel. Welcome to the show. You know, when I first saw this bottle at JAX, I think it was over there towards Beaufort, I thought it was a wine bottle. Does that not look, if you didn't see Doc Swinson's on the front, would you not think that that was a wine bottle? It's shaped just like a wine bottle. But I'd heard a lot of good things about Doc Swinson's, and yes, I know that it's a sourced bourbon, but they've gotten several awards for their finished bourbon, and I thought, well, rather than start into one of their finished, I'd start with one of their regular or just straight bourbon whiskeys. I can't find hardly anything out about this store pick for JAX, and it says short barrel for JAX. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe you can let me know down in the comments. Does that simply mean that it's a smaller barrel, or it actually is short, or short barrel's the guy that picked it? I have no clue. Not knowing a lot about Doc Swinson's, I went to their website, which is docwhiskey.com, and they tell you a lot about their blends, and that's probably where I should have started. If I'd been smart about it, I would have picked one of their regular blends, then get into their finished, and then if I really like it, buy a store pick. Duh! Well, I'm stuck with a store pick, and so are you. So, well, if we like it, then maybe, just maybe, I'll like some of the other ones. So, I'll tell you what it says on the bottle. It's got a nice label on it, and then there's a label on top of the label. I thought that was interesting. It says here in red, single barrel, entry date July 9th, 2016, pull date September 9th, 2021. So basically a 5-year bourbon, as a lot of their bourbons are. It tells you the barrel number, and the proof is 110.2, and the bottle number. And it basically says, you know, this is a straight bourbon whiskey, limited edition. It's a store pick, naturally. And it's got, you know, kind of a dipped cork, kind of like Maker's Mark. And they must have broken off the tab there, because I had to actually cut through the wax. I wasn't really sure what it is, but it's some kind of wax. And on the back, I think it says this on a lot of Doc's bottles. It says, this barrel was, well, single barrels. This barrel was hand-selected by a small group of epic people who found it just too good to pass up. If we couldn't say no, should you? That's pretty good. That's pretty good writing there. Well, since we don't know much about it on the website, we're just going to find out for ourselves. So on some of the other blends, they talk about candied almonds, toasted oak, and sweet vanilla. So let's see if we find it in this one. Well, there's definitely some sweetness going on there, and it's a candy sweetness. And I'm definitely picking up oak and vanilla. So that definitely could be part of it. Well, let's see what the palate thinks. Cheers. Fair amount of spice right up front. The proof seems to be just right. Yeah, at 110, which is, you know, kind of my sweet spot anyways. A little bit sweet. Definitely picking up some fruit there. And, well, they talk about dried fruits, brown sugared and candied pecans on one of the other bourbons, so I would say that's pretty close to what I'm tasting. Let's take another sip. Definitely get a nice baking spice, and I mean a really nice baking spice up front. It's just a little bit sweet, and definitely like apricots, peach, that kind of a medium fruit, not too dark. We talk about rye toast and caramel corn, but like I said, this isn't for this particular bourbon, but definitely picking up that fruit and brown sugar, and yeah, maybe some candied pecans in there. It's close to what they're saying on their blend. It is a 5-year bourbon, and it is produced by MGP, but some MGP stuff's pretty good, and this does not taste like a lot of the other MGPs I have. Let's take another taste and look at the finish. Definitely the dried fruit goes into the finish, and it's more of a peppery finish. I really like the baking spices up front, but the finish is more peppery. Not my favorite. I'd rather have a little more sweetness, maybe a little more fruit, a little less pepper, but it does turn into kind of a peppery finish. It's not bad, it's just not great. So, but on the palate and on the nose, it's very good. Well, let's take one more sip, and we're going to go to final thoughts. Final thoughts. Had I not read it on their website, you couldn't have convinced me it was MGP juice. No, it does not taste like the traditional MGP I taste in several of my bourbons, and I'm looking at some of them over there. The Noble Oak is a good example. I pick up that MGP. I like it because I like the finish they do with the Noble Oak. It's a double oak product. It's tasty, and it's very affordable. I think this was a little bit more expensive than the Noble Oak, but this does not taste like any MGP sourced bourbon I have. And like I said, I probably have at least a half dozen of them. A couple on the shelf behind me and several more on the shelf across from me. Whether it was $50 or $60, it is quite good. And of course, it's cask strength, which makes me question, 110 is cask strength on the Doc Swinsons? I didn't know that. Usually that's make or mark territory, not MGP, but it's got a very good balance of sweetness, fruitiness, the right proof. I'm a fan of this single barrel. I'm a fan. Now the problem you're going to have is, well, Mike, you told us about a single barrel that is in JAX in Buford, Georgia. How am I supposed to get that? Well, sorry. Chances are that you can find a Doc Swinson's store pick in your area. It'll be someone else picking it, but it's probably the same juice, the same age, and virtually the same bourbon. So, if you come across a Doc Swinson's, I think you should try it. Now, I'm going to do a little bit different recommendation tonight because this is a store pick in an area that you probably don't live. So that gets us to our recommendation system 1 through 5, 1 being the highest, 5 meaning only drink it if it's free. I would drink this all day if it was free. This is a good bourbon. But I'm going to give it a level 3 because this may not be the bourbon that's going to be in your store. So shop around. If you can find a single barrel, my single barrel, this single barrel is good. You might want to start out with one of their blends, one of their 5-year blends, and see if you like that. This is a good single barrel bourbon by anyone's standards. I don't care if it's MGP, because good bourbon is good bourbon, period. Court adjourned. And Bourbon Judge going, like, wait a minute, that's my... Credit to Bourbon Judge. I've been watching Bourbon Judge too much lately. I want a gavel. I love Bourbon Judge. So, if you're in the North Georgia area and you're close to a JAX, maybe look into this. If you've tried Doc Swinson's, I think this is the next level to go to. Try one of their single barrels. Nothing against the other Doc Swinson's. This is just really good. I'm a fan of a good single barrel, and this tonight is a good single barrel. So we hope you like this video and you'll comment and share, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button so we can grow this channel and bring you more crazy content like our Doc Swinson's single barrel. As always, never drink and drive. Please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.